In this section of the video, we are finally moving on to the process of creating Performance Max or regular shopping campaigns if you need them directly. So I remind you that in order to be able to launch Performance Max, you absolutely and essentially need to have conversions set up, which we did in the previous step. So purchase. You need to set up dynamic remarketing through Google Tag Manager. Don't forget to publish the container since it stops working. And it is essential to have analytics set up and active merchant centers. Since I am filming this in one big piece, I still have to wait 3 days for the merchant center moderation to be completed, but I will still show you how to create advertising campaigns. Initially, I suggest that you quickly get started in order to properly and efficiently so that everything is ready for your advertising. The easiest way to create this Performance Max is through our Merchant Center in a very straightforward manner. It's the same in Merchant Center Next and the same in the Classic Merchant Center. We follow the same steps in both the new and classic versions of the Merchant Center. We then proceed to the marketing section, and from there, we navigate smoothly to the company section. Here we have a block that will simply appear to start advertising your products. Create a Performance Max campaign. To do this, we just click on Create Campaign. We will be asked to fill in only 3 sections. This is the label of our feed. This is our daily budget. We'll set it to something basic for now, currently. We will edit it. The name of our campaign. I'm keeping it. You can name it whatever you want. I recommend naming them after the product groups you have, but I will leave it as it is. Let's go back to our Google Ads account. Refresh the page. After that, make sure to go to the campaign log. And here we have our advertising campaign with the Merchant Center. What is the advantage of creating such an advertising campaign, such as this one? You see Performance Max 3, which we had. What is its advantage over other types of campaigns? Essentially, you can create this advertising campaign directly with the interface. The main advantage is that we don't need to worry about these essences at this stage. Indeed, do we need to set them or not? You can set them a few weeks after your campaign starts. Get conversions, gather some analytics, and you can focus on creating assets. If we leave the campaign in this form, it is sufficient. This type of campaign is called feed only. This is definitely enough for you to get into advertising, start advertising, and get your sales. The only thing we will do now is absolutely adjust the settings of this campaign. What are the most important settings? This is mandatory. You need to adjust the geography, the locations where you advertise. The Merchant Center sets it to all countries by default. Here you set the geography from which you want to receive sales. It is advisable not to leave all countries selected. It is clear that performance will most likely find from all the analytics data that we have already set up that these people are from Ukraine, but it is still better to limit this. Do we need to choose any of these settings? If you are targeting an entire country, you can leave this section as is. However, if you are targeting only a specific radius or a particular city, and you don't want people outside of this radius to see, choose this section. I will leave it as is. And next is the languages. You choose the languages accordingly, according to the languages your clients speak. If your clients speak Russian, Ukrainian, Latin, Italian, German, set those languages accordingly. For Ukraine, it is generally not crucial if you leave all the languages as they are. Not because it's a life hack. It's because there are a lot of people moving, arriving in Ukraine and leaving. They've been Googling in other languages for a long time, for example, in Polish or, I don't know, Romanian or some other language, right? German, or even English. Or you can keep the same 3 languages, Ukrainian, Russian. English, if launching abroad, if your website is in the corresponding language. If your website is in German, then you only add German. If your website is in English, you need to choose the correct country here to select 2 languages, German and English. Because in France, if you launch the site not in French, you will have very low conversion. Adding French is pointless. If, for example, it's the Netherlands, you can freely launch a website in English and add 2 languages. This will be quite normal for them. Therefore, you choose the languages based on the language that your audience speaks, ensuring they understand. Additionally, I would recommend unchecking these boxes during the first 2 weeks to avoid giving too much variability in search ads and to ensure it remains a pure, classic shopping campaign. If you want to broaden the performance opportunities a bit more, you can enable this block. Just exclude web addresses related to blogs, policies, privacy, and other pages and such. Simply take your page, insert it, and click export. Everything here is as simple as possible. I am recording all of this, and the final thing we absolutely need to adjust is the budget and bidding strategies as needed. Regarding the budget, let's do it this way. Since this video is quite universal, meaning it should be suitable for everyone, let me guide you. Starting budgets ranging from approximately $8 to $12 to $15 or so if you go for the absolute minimum. Decent budgets depend on your average order value. If your average order value is more than $150 to $170, your budget should likely aim for even $15 to $20 in daily budget. If you have an inexpensive product, aim for smaller budgets. Why? So that Google conducts all these A/B tests economically while searching for your target audience. That's a little life hack for you. If you want to start with a larger budget, you can start with a large budget. I'm telling you how you can start. As you receive more and more sales and conversions, you can gradually increase the budgets accordingly and more. So basically, I can start here with a conditional amount of, say, $10, which would be around 400 hryvnias or 300 hryvnias. And regarding the strategy, there are 2 important nuances. In Performance Max, you only have 2 strategy options, either for conversion value with our AS limit, or if we choose just conversion, which strategy should we start with? I'll tell you, I must say, it's really entirely a matter of taste which strategy to start with, indeed. In the initial stages, when you have a 0 account and no analytics, I would say that if your average check is somewhere up to $70, up to $100, it is generally very easy to start with the maximum conversion strategy. Without restrictions, you gather analytics and you can set a limit on the cost per conversion. If your average check is slightly higher, I'm averaging it out based on general data. It all comes down to the type of your product, what exactly you are selling, and who your target audience is. Let's say we want to sell clothes. Clothes can cost $10 or $1,000. This has important correlations in this whole story on which strategy to start with. Important nuances include the target audience. All this has nuances. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I'm giving you an average overview so that you can launch a campaign, get started, and see some initial results, rather than saying that Yana just talked about something on YouTube. Personally, my personal preference is to definitely always start with values. You can start either from scratch without any limitations, or you can set them initially. I always prefer this strategy more. Why? Because this strategy itself is highly dynamic. It can find your customer in various ways and in places where your maximum conversions cannot. Why can't maximum conversions find them? Well, because imagine our audience graph goes up in an ascending line. The maximum are clients who fit us in terms of profitability, are AS, or they fit in terms of cost per conversion. This maximum conversion will result in very few orders. That is, there will be very few. However, profitability can adapt to different life events, various receipts, and similar products. It is more advanced. That's why I prefer it, such as, and other factors. But both options are generally fine. That is, there are cases when people start with maximum conversions, confidently gathering this analytics, because if you have easy conversions, they are just scooped up like cream from milk. Then the most optimal starting option for you would be maximum conversions. If you can achieve these sales within a week or 2 at most, then profitability is likely your only option. You focus on maximizing conversions. Start with a small budget and increase the budget based on conversions you achieve, and keep moving forward. You can move on to profitability, or you can choose not to. You can start with the same value. I prefer to set the profitability. How high or what value to target here? It all comes down to what you actually want from your advertising account and what kind of results you actually want to achieve. Do you want to get 1000%, 500%, 200%, 100%, or how much do you want to get? I always recommend starting with small profit margins, and then, if needed, you can simply increase them. Yes, there are nuances about increasing this orientabilis, but I will not cover this since I lack a specific product for this launch. I am typically showing a typical scenario of how this should generally happen. You can start even with a relatively small size, like 80-100-300%, which are relatively small profit margins, and gradually increase. Consider profitability not as a literal value it will give you, but more as a limiter in useful or non-useful reach. Google does not limit impressions with only buy or without buy. Either a person is starting to search for their products or your products in the sales funnel, or they are already finishing. They don't think. He cuts them in a rather primitive way because nowadays a person doesn't move through the classic sales funnel. Google marks it as an infinity sign because a person can make a purchase from different stages. Moreover, the upper stage of the sales funnel can provide higher value if we compare it to the classic sales funnel, rather than some lower stage where, for example, there is the toughest competition, with most competitors undercutting prices and preventing any sales. Therefore, it's best to start from some lower stages. For Ukraine, low is 400 to 500%, while for Europe and the US, there are different values. The profitability you want to achieve. A lot depends on the actual data. Don't set actual data that you want to get here because you will have 0 impressions. This is what most stores, for example, face when they are just starting to run ads. They don't understand. They want 600 or 700% from this campaign, right? They set same 700, and the advertising campaign may completely stop showing barely run. Don't set the actual value, always set it lower. Set it a certain percentage lower. Ideally, start with a very low value. Don't want to bother with low increases? Start without targeting. Launch and see some results. Both strategies without initial restrictions can catch any conversions. I prefer, but this is already an advanced level when we start with specific values because we have a concrete goal for the task. So basically, these are the basic performance settings. The next thing you absolutely need to do is go to your performance campaign in the SS group and make sure that there are absolutely no signals or anything else there, meaning feed only, and then go to these listings. And don't forget to select the products you will be launching, so that you can be sure you are promoting exactly the specific products you want to advertise, so that you don't end up taking all the products here when you only wanted to promote a specific category of products, for instance, product type or something like that. Always look carefully and thoroughly and select the products you need. This is the final, conclusive story. This is how your performance setup might possibly look, from start to finish. For example, if you don't want to create a performance max campaign and prefer manual bid adjustments, you can see what traffic the campaign generates and clean it up, for instance. You are such a pedant in your life. You want to collect analytics gradually and systematically. Then you turn off this performance, create a shopping campaign, click New Campaign, select Sales. Click Continue, select Shopping. Make sure to choose your correct merchant center. Remember, I have 2 under 1 email. Select the standard shopping campaign. Click Continue. Select Manual. For example, Manual. What? Do you want there? Yes. Neither do you want there all items. Do you want there all items? Do you want there all items? For all or some of you, the simplest way to start would be to use maximize clicks. I personally prefer manual CPC, but I understand that some people face issues with correctly estimating the CPC, which is crucial. Therefore, set maximize clicks, but I strongly recommend setting a maximum CPC. To determine the CPC, you need to take a couple of keywords related to your product type, go to the keyword planner, enter them, and look at the maximum bids. We'll get to that in a moment. Add, say, 10 to 20 cents on top of that CPC and set it here because different niches have different CPCs. In some niches, the CPC might be as low as 10 to 15 cents, while in others it could be $2, $3, or even $6 or more. So it's better to check the CPC and set it accordingly. I will set 15 UH, but I will now show you how to approximate the maximum number of clicks. Later, you can lower or raise it as you wish. We set this up just in case the system, if you have expensive traffic, doesn't generate clicks costing 60 to 70 hryvnias. And the budget. Here, you can set the budget however you like. You can set 10, 20, 30, 40, or $1,000. The only important thing is to monitor the quality of the traffic and filter it, because if you don't filter the traffic, your website's conversion rate in regular commerce will approach 0. I will conditionally set $10 here. This prioritization, this setting that is often asked about, only plays a role if you are running multiple shopping ad campaigns, specifically regular ones. If this is for performance, then setting it to high doesn't matter. If you want to launch a regular and a performance shopping campaign, the performance campaign will probably take away its impressions. Clicks and everything else will be a dead weight. Either regular or performance max is better than running them in parallel. I would still turn off search partners. Well, I'm not sure about their quality. If you have a product or a brand that you are particular about, wanting it pristine. So it's better to even turn it off because Google has had scandals regarding where their products were displayed. Geography. The same principle as Performance Max. We create a campaign and make sure to select the products we want to advertise. If not all products, then select the products you need. This can be by product type or by category. The Google product category is selected. I allowed the system to automatically assign the brand, ID, condition, product type, or labels. Here, it's up to your preference. I leave all the products here. Such a company also deserves its work. Who needs it and in what cases? If you want to manually manage the cost per click, for example, to clean up traffic, collect systematic analytics on targeted traffic, and then launch Performance Max, the ideal type of campaign. I promise to show you how to determine the maximum click. For this, we will go to products and let's say, for example, take the name of my product. Let's go, for instance, to the keyword planner, select search. This is important. Search for new keywords. Enter one or several queries depending on your product. If we are selling elephants, then buy an elephant or just elephant, right? We select the languages we have chosen, and now I will add a keyword related to this geographical area in a slightly different way. For this combination, the maximum cost per click is determined by several factors, considering the competition and relevance of the keyword. Now I will change the columns because it doesn't want to show me the top bid. High range is the top bid for the top position. This is the average across the board, and it's only for search. But if you want to more or less participate in a hot auction for regular products with maximum clicks, then what can you do? To see the average cost per click, let's say I'm also selling a phantom. I see that there is 10 hryvnias here. Maybe I can add another bit of 10 to 15 cents and set this limit on the cost per click. For example, let it be not 15 hryvnias as I set, but 20 hryvnias. For someone else, it might be 5 hryvnias. It all depends on your product assortment and the costliness of this traffic. It depends only on that, nothing else. If you want to reduce this cost per click later, you can go to your product groups. By the way, this is something that is not available in Performance Max. You can add a column at the product group level called Benchmark CPC, or in your case, it might be called Comparative Maximum CPC, or in Ukrainian, CPC. Here, in about 72 hours, a more or less relevant average cost per click will appear, which competitors paid for the queries you will see in your search terms block. Don't forget to filter your traffic. It's crucial in regular shopping campaigns. If you forget something somewhere else or don't properly filter, the traffic situation will be bad because it doesn't understand whether the person is good or bad. It just shows up based on the search query, unlike performance, which already analyzes at what exact stage the person is currently in the purchase process and adjusts its strategy accordingly. So, in the end, we ended up with both a performance campaign and a regular shopping ad campaign. Everything is now ready to start. I'm pausing everything because my account is a test account for the video, so nothing is being launched at this moment. In summary, if we recap this long video, what exactly did we do together? We have successfully set up analytics, completely configured Merchant Center, and set up the purchase tag for Google Ads with enhanced data transfer. We set up remarketing. We set up marketing. And we set up a regular shopping ad campaign. This should be enough for you to start advertising, launch, and begin selling your product in almost any country in the world where Google Shopping from Google Ads is available. Google Shopping with everything.